the psalmist, David. So when you understand that once you start, you see yourself sitting in the God seat in triple darkness in the middle of nowhere, and you recognize and observe that position. You sitting in the center of creation. That's the mindset. You sitting in the center of creation and you creating everything. Okay, now you would simplify the totality of creation. You got to bring it into your 3D model of yourself. I'm God pretending to be Rod. How am I supposed to behave as God in this 3D realm? This is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to rewrite who the system told me to be. I'm not going to be Rod. I'm going to be Morpheus Mysticus Magus. Morpheus Mysticus Magus is our chemical name that was adopted by the character Rod in order to break free from the character Rod and become the embodiment of the liberating mind that I want to be, so that I can help other people liberate their mind. So
man, every time I see that clip, man,
that clip fire. That's my first time seeing it, Rich.
You never see that?
That's lit.
Right,
I was sitting there, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, y'all been playing that the whole month, man. That is fire. Yo, you went in, man. You went in, man. Oh, man. Shout out to everybody. Thank you for your patience. Appreciate your patience. I guarantee you this show will be worth it. So if you hung in there and you're still around, you're about to be blessed. Yo, Rod, you know what one of my jobs is in this lifetime? I'm one of my many jobs. I'm a spiritual hype man. I'm a spirit. You know, like Flavor Flav was the hype man. I'm a spiritual hype man. So I'm gonna get everybody. I guarantee y'all, I'm gonna have y'all moving in your seats tonight because it's gonna be electrifying tonight, family. It's gonna be electrifying.
You be Flav, I be Chuck D. Let's get it.
Exactly. Yeah, let's get it. There we go. Rod, how you been, brother? It's been a long time since you've been on the channel. Explain to the people why you take these breaks from social media before we get started, brother. Why do you choose to take yourself out of the picture for these periods of time?
So you imagine you driving down the street and you're going 20 miles an hour. Okay, now imagine driving down the street and you're going 200 miles an hour. Right. The streets start closing in so fast you can't see what's coming. So you have to stop, slow down, and see more of the sights that's coming in to help you process information. So when you get to the point where so much information is being turned over in the mind, you have to take a break to let the mind rest, because the mind gonna find something to do when you let it rest, because it don't want to rest, but you have to force it to. That overload causes you to make errors and mistakes. Like I look over some of the videos I did, I see I mentioned wrong names on books sometimes. That's because there's so much information coming in. Now it's all merging together. It's like it's becoming cluttered.
Okay.
So to take a break is to let the mind rest. Okay, now I can breathe again. Now let's go back at this and see if we can't get us to another level than what we was at before the break.
Right. Definitely. Once again, family, tell your friends and family that Rod Hayes is live. Black Magic 363. I also want to thank Rod Hayes, man. I got this book you recommended. I'm about to show the people. And right after I got it, I went on vacation. So I didn't read it right away. I just breezed through it. But then I picked it up. Bro, this is a very advanced spiritual book, brother. Some of these things I got to read 2 times, 3 times. And I'm I'm connecting dots. And I'm understanding what they're saying and putting things I know and I learned from you and everybody else, and just like, making sense of everything. And I want to thank you for
before you show the book, you got to tell them where I got the reference from.
The astral plane.
Right. Now, remember, I told you, I was in the halls of a mentee traveling.
Yes.
And I went to the library and I picked up this white book that had this gold writing on it. and I was reading it astrally, but I couldn't remember what in the world was in this book. And so I told you, I said, Rich, I found this book I was reading astrally, but I haven't had a chance to read it yet. And you was like, what was the book? So then I sent you the picture of the book.
Yeah. And what's interesting about it, y'all, because I call Rod Hayes and I'll just ask him, I just ask him random questions and, just chop it up with him for a little while. And me and him, Rod Hayes, just be kicking it on the phone. We could do shows with our phone conversations, y'all. It'd be that type of vibe. But I had this idea in my mind. I was driving and I was like, I want to ask Rod Hayes some questions about Yahweh. And I forgot to ask him. And I ended up talking to him the next day, and he had bought up the book. And the book just happened to be the name Yahweh that I wanted to ask him. So I said, yo, Rod, I was like, yo, I literally wanted to call you yesterday and ask you some questions about Yahweh. But this is let me just show y'all, family, very, very advanced book. A very, very advanced spiritual book. I'm enjoying the read. You got to be on a certain level to understand certain things, but that's the side title is the Book of Knowledge, the Keys of Enoch. So the front says Yahweh, but then the side says the Book of Knowledge, the Keys of Enoch, and it's it's an advanced spiritual read, man. So I just gave, and be careful if y'all. I know a lot of y'all, because we already got 1,400 people in the room and it's only 6 minutes in. So now a lot of y'all, when I say things, y'all go run and buy it. Be careful, y'all, because this book, it goes for as much as $1,200 on the internet. But if you go directly to the author's website, you can get it for $50. So be careful, y'all, because this book on eBay, this is like 500 and up, 200, 500, 800. So just look around and make sure you somebody said 250 on Amazon. Yeah, they got it on the author's website. I can't find his name right now. JJ Hurtak. And tell him Radiohead Rich and Rod Hayes sent you. But I'm gonna give him some money. I'm gonna bless him today. He's getting blessed today. But, all right, man. Listen, this show altered. I named it Altered States. I want to tap into altered states of consciousness before we even get into altered states of consciousness and what that means. And I'm glad you said you was in the halls of Amenti, in the astral plane, because I want to know how you got into that altered state. I want to know that. So we'll get into that. But real quick, before you get in that, one of the first things that came on my mind is that, they say as above, so below, as within, so without. And when we talk about going into different states of consciousness, you're also big on this country and this land, us being indigenous to the land. And I'm just curious as to why they chose to name different land masses states. Like you go from New York, Georgia, these are different states. It's the same thing as consciousness. You go into alpha, you go into beta, different states. So why is consciousness given the same name as geographical locations? Rod Hayes, let's get it started with that, Rod.
But when you're looking at consciousness, everybody is in a different location in their mind. In other words, they in a different state. You ever be in the hood? You from New York, so you be in New York. Let's say you in the Bronx, and somebody say, "Here you come with that Harlem shit."
Yep, all the time.
It's a state of mind where a New Yorker know, oh, he ain't even from New York, he from Yonkers. Mm-hmm. Or, oh, I know he from the bridge.
Yeah.
Y'all know each other in y'all state by geography according to how you think. The tribes have imprinted electromagnetic wavelengths that's been layered for eons on top of each other.
Right.
So when you in New York, when you in your New York state of mind and you follow what you know from New York, you can fit in anywhere. But when you in your Tennessee state of mind, you in your country boy state of mind, you can only fit in similar environments.
Right.
The New York state of mind literally is the ability to rapidly change from one mentality to another as you travel the boroughs. You're not going to act the same in Brooklyn as you're going to act in Manhattan. You're not going to act the same because you're going to get a result that you're not looking for when you go there, right? So when you cross 110th Street, when you're going uptown, you're not going to have the same mentality as when you finna cross the bridge in New Jersey.
Change your state of mind. Yeah.
You're changing your state of mind. The state of mind that we develop in any given geographical landmark called a state, right? Is state really just means condition. So when you think about mind control, you think about operant conditioning, you thinking about programming to a particular mind state, a particular geographical position in the mind, right? So when you go to California, if you don't know the culture, you can get swallowed up so fast, nobody won't know what happened to you, right? But if you take your time, this is what the ancient check-in culture was about.
Ooh, ancient check-in. Damn, you said the ancient check-in.
See, some people been using it wrong. They're not using it the way it's supposed to go.
Right.
It's just like Chicago. When I go to Chicago, it's certain key people that I have to contact when I get there. I don't have to do it, but it's the basic respect for being on the land.
Right. Yes, sir.
Right. I was born in Chicago, so the way Chicago moved, it feel like I'm supposed to be there every time I go there. I'm not from New York. New York, not my city. And because of the way the New Yorker is, it's uncomfortable to me because I have to be hyper vigilant in order not to make a mistake and disrespect New York culture.
Right.
But it's easy for me coming from right outside of Detroit in a little small town to go to the big city of Chicago and fit right in. My whole family coming from Chicago. So we understand the change in the mind state from Pontiac, Michigan to Chicago, Illinois, better than we do. Because when I'm in New York, I'm under continuous pressure all while I'm there, not to make a mistake and disrespect the culture. Right? Those are mind states, right? And the mind state becomes prevalent when you travel from state to state. When I went to Mississippi, man, I thought I was a straight up country boy. You couldn't have told me nothing. You couldn't hit me in the ass with a shiny red apple. I'm out there playing with the wild bulls. That bull will maul you. My big mama say he ain't mauled him yet. Big Red was our bull. You know, he the meanest bull in the yard. I know patting him on the head like this. I'm like 6.
Damn.
Right? And everybody terrified of the bull. But I have a knack for country stuff because we country people in the city. So it's natural to me, but the city stuff was what I had the hardest time adapting to. Right? But the small town was the perfect bridge and training ground to go back to the big city. So you take the country boy to the small town, you teach him the ways of the small town, and now he could take that microcosm and expand it to the macrocosm of a bigger city. This is the same thing you do when your emotions make your mind change from one thing to the next. Emotionally, if I see him, I'm gonna hit him in the mouth, right? But when my man come up, and he coming up with you with open arms and he don't got no malice, that zaps that mind state. You can't just hit him in the mouth now.
That's facts. That has happened to me. That's facts.
Yeah, you was mad as a junkyard dog in the hubcap cemetery. As soon as I see him, it's on sight.
Yo, somebody can neutralize you when you come with that anger. And they listen, brother, I'm sorry. You be like, it's like the energy just vanishes from you, bro. That consciousness, bro. It's mind-boggling, man.
Right. Because you adjusting your mind state to suit the condition. It's the same as when you go to Florida, that's the finish line. Anytime you cross Florida, you're supposed to experience the feeling of celebration. if you from this land at this particular time. Right? So now you seeing them all coming out, boots on the ground, and asking where them fans at. The boot, look, the country talk, the boots are shit kickers.
Yeah.
And they trying to kick the shit to the fans so they can get it over with. The boots on the ground.
Right. And I want to ask you about this. I'm going to take this clip and I'm going to put it on Instagram. Rod, what is it about? And I'm sure we talked about this. Because I always talk about, before we do this, I want to do something. Actually, before we start the show tonight, we got over 2,000 people in the chat already so far. So I know what type of night it's going to be. But I want to set a certain tone since we're talking about altered states of consciousness. So I want to I'm gonna put my mic and Rob mic on mute for 60 seconds. I'm actually gonna black the screen. How do I let me see? Rod, I'm gonna move you for 60 seconds, all right?
Yep.
So I just want us to vibe out. Let me just show y'all. I want to start the show. The earth, matter is formed with sound. The universe was formed with sound. The universe is an acoustic field. And I just want us to get used to tapping into the right sounds and the right frequencies. So I want to take this 60-second break to let the sounds in the universe breathe. This is a very special sound bowl with very special frequencies. And I want to take 60 seconds to let this breathe and let y'all vibe out to the sound. I want y'all to observe the silence, be present in the silence. I know we have a good time, and I know I'm the spiritual hype man, and I'll be hype. But this is serious business. It's serious, but it's fun at the same time. That's what's so beautiful about it. So we'll be back in 60 seconds. Vibe out to this sound, and appreciate this sound, family. This is how we all came into existence. Sometimes we could be so overstimulated with the internet, technology, and social media. It's important for us to take a spiritual time out. You know how the players on a basketball court, when things are too chaotic, Rod, sometimes the coach calls a timeout and they sit down and they regroup. So it's important, and that goes into Rod taking a spiritual time out for a month from YouTube just to regroup. So it's important for us to take that spiritual time out, even if it's for a minute out of a day, family, and to really appreciate our essence, our divinity, our true identity, where we come from. And thanks for participating in that with me. including you, Rod, including you, my brother.
So I want to comment on the singing bowls.
Yeah, go ahead, my brother. Go ahead.
Somebody in the comments called it ignorance and said we're not in Japan. What they don't understand is the bells was removed for a reason. They took the bells from us. They took the singing bowls from us. They took the only thing we got left is maracas and cymbals and tambourines in the church, right? The understanding of frequency and vibration is the beginning of the understanding of creation. Because you don't want to hear it because you believe it's a foreign culture. All culture on earth came from what you call the Arizona desert. All cultures. Japanese culture, Chinese culture, Hindu culture, barbarian culture, Tartarian culture, whatever name you want to give it. The original earthborn was settling the world from Arizona first. And all of these tools that you see is the tools that was to help us break free. And some of us had to go to World War II and fight in Japan in order to find some of this stuff. Some of us had to go to the Korean War to discover some of our stuff. Some of us had to go to Vietnam and fight in the jungles to find out that them people ain't did nothing to us over here. Some of us had to fight wars all over the world just to get a piece of the truth to bring back home. Don't never neglect the value added to the spiritual tools that other people have because they got them all from us. We the original, the first template, the original. Ain't we not carbon copies? Other people are carbon copies of us. We are the original, the Omega bloodlines, what they call the old blood. The Omega bloodlines is the oldest bloodline. That's how you go from Alpha to Omega. The Alpha has to wake up the Omega, right? It's a baton race, track and field, Olympics, all that stuff is stuff we used to do in ancient times. Ballet is straight from Atlantis. Ice skating and figure skating is straight from Atlantis. Ice hockey is straight Atlantean. That's why it was melanated people that invented it. Right. You know, so stop being so bigoted because that's one of the divide and conquer tools that keep us oppressed. It's closing our minds off to stuff that work because you don't think it came from you. And if you one of the originals of the earth, anything on earth came from you. You can't be second and then everything originate from you. If you the original organic Mississippi clay dirt walking, or if you from the what they call the motherland from the Black Aswan dirt clay of the Nile, you still have to be able to see the benefit in other people's culture because those are spin-off cultures. Right? We don't throw away the original sitcom because it has spinoffs. And sometimes you have to go back to the original sitcom to understand a particular scene in the spinoff. Right? So it's the same way that we take these tools that we use for spiritual awakening from all over the world.
Right. You know, and I had another question in mind, but I like to go with the flow. So you're talking about tools that we're taking from all over the world. This comment right here, I felt that going from South Africa. I got a lot of people from South Africa who tune into the show. So shout out to everybody from South Africa. When I was young, I had a kid in my school from South Africa, and he became one of my closer friends named Sikkim. His name was Sikambuzo Dalamini. So if he's watching, shout out, yo, I was the dude I was cool with South African name was Sikambuzo Dalamini. Shout out to him. And he used to tell me a lot about South Africa. And what I want to ask you is that my whole life I've heard things about, I felt the connection to South Africa in terms of the information, and you hear about the Credo Mutwa, you hear about the Zulus, and the Zulus was very inspirational, Shaka Zulu, and we hear about so many things with South Africa. A lot when they was going through their apartheid thing, a lot of Black Americans over here, the musicians, Smokey Robinson, we was making noise over here to help them out over there in South Africa. And we
were still going through the same struggle.
We're still going through the same struggle. Tell me, and since we're talking about states of consciousness, and you talked about that New York state of mind, I'm from Harlem. I got that Harlem state of mind. What is it about South Africa? South Africa is very interesting. What's the deal with South Africa?
In the ancient times, that's where the first major gold mines in Rafali, South Africa was. That's where the people was being imported to South Africa from all over the world to aid in the mining of gold. It's some of the oldest gold mines on earth is in South Africa. And that was because it was called the Abzu at the time, and it was under the direct jurisdictional reign of Enki, right? The land of Enki, his children is the all of those giant tribes in Africa, yo Dinka, yo Mandinga, yo Zulu, everybody that's not what you call a San or a Twa are children of wives that he had from the San and the Twa that made those big people. And if you remember, Gil Scott had the song, Tell Me Brother, Have You Heard about Johannesburg? Come on now, what's the word? It's Johannesburg. And the Johannesburg, South Africa, was a replica of Birmingham, Alabama, and the oppressors' cycles of oppression. We was able to see over there what we was too close to see over here. You gotta remember, sometimes you're too close to a thing to see it for what it is, but when you see it at a distance, it helps you clear your vision up about what you're seeing over here. They had some great men. My favorite South African is Stephen Biko. Everybody else was on the Mandela train, and I was like, well, what about Biko? Why y'all don't want to remember him? Because he sounds too much like Malcolm X, right? And the kindred tribe to the Zulu is the old Mississippian of the Americas. So when you see a Zulu rise to power in South Africa, it's either the what they call a precursor to a rise of an old Mississippian over here, or it's a response to the rise of an old Mississippian over here. The quintessential Shaka Zulu old Mississippian is Chief Malik Angel Bay, who we call Jeff Ford. He has that same Shaka spirit, but he not probably as big as Shaka, but his energy is just as big. His insight into his desire to defend his people is just as big. His military strategic acumen is just as sharp. That's why they don't want him out of prison, and they trumped up that case and called him a terrorist before they even knew what a terrorist was. They still don't have a definition. But all of that was to prevent him from organizing the troops and meeting all of the other chiefs face to face in the street. Because once they do that, then we're able to put up a resistance, right? Not just South Africa. If you go and study the Mau Mau from Kenya, right, you get the same feel as when the settlers was over here and we was trying to come up with a way to conquer the colonizer. This is all anti-colonial resistance in Africa and in America. But we got to also remember you had a anti-colonial front in India, which was a extension of Ethiopia. Most of us don't know India is part of Ethiopia, right? We don't know that because they take that part of the history and they bury it in a major universities like Oxford, Yale, Princeton, and only the ones of us with exceptional intellect will be given access to it once they get us the contract not to tell nobody what you find, right? So all of this is a shifting of a global pattern. By seeing it play out in other places, you tend to get used to it where you at, but you're not used to it when you see it being played out somewhere else. So South Africa is directly involved in our liberation. And if you go study Maurice Bishop from Grenada, he was a student of South Africa, right? And all of us, we don't be knowing this because the purpose, Garvey talked about a confraternity. We don't know about the Bang Dong Conference to come up with a counter strategy to fight white supremacy because it's a military doctrine and it has nothing to do with skin color. It has everything to do with concealing the hidden hand, the black hand, the unseen hand behind the cloak of a facade, a false image just put out front. White supremacy ain't what people think it is. And when I first heard Neely Fuller's statement, when I read the ISIS papers by Francis Welsing, if you don't understand white supremacy, everything you think you understand is only confusing you. Yeah. That was a wake-up call for me because now I have to figure out what is this thing, white supremacy, which is global colonization, military conquest of the entire world, using factional fractions under the pretense of something called the white man's burden that was an edict of the Pope. So we traced it all the way back to the Pope, but we don't even know that the Pope ain't even the power structure. He's what you call the CEO. He's just the face that represent the ones that don't want to be seen. Somebody got to be seen. So they put their cat's paw, they fall guy, they coat Sievers, they crash dummy out front to take the heat while they can count all of the money in the back without worrying about nobody bum rushing the door. I'm at the door.
Hey, Rod. I mean, wow. Listen, man. We could do this show for 10 hours if this show could go over. Before we get into the show, what's your thoughts on the Pope dying? Do you think that has some type of spiritual symbology, even if he didn't just die? Do you think it has some type of spiritual symbology? We in a 9-ether year, everything going on. We just everything going on. What do you think that means symbolically?
So first you got to start with his age. 88 means the queen has been seated, but it ain't talking about in Europe.
Oh shit.
Right? 88 is a seated queen. 80 is an open queen seat. 8 is a queen looking for a seat to sit in. 88 mean the queen is seated. When the Pope dies, it's opening up the clear pathway of the Great Mother back to the sacerdotal seat. At this particular time, it's directly tied to that. Because remember, the Pope's seat sits under Big Mama's seat. He's the underminer. He's the supplanter, right? He's representing the quintessential Jacobite, the one who goes under to loosen the root in order to replace the plant, an underminer, a supplanter. That's what it means. So once he croak, pass over, unalive, whatever you want to call it, once they announce it, that's a confession. And it's tied to the numbers because they talking numbers and they talking symbols.
Rod, real quick, Rod. This is a very interesting comment. You know, the piano has 88 keys in it when you get a real piano. So it's interesting. You know, the keys in the piano is closely related to the, cosmos and all that. But go ahead. I just want to thank you for pointing that out, Levi.
Yeah. And so when all of the keys been turned, right, that's when you can get the full access to the piano. You don't learn the piano 88 keys at a time. You learn it one key at a time.
Yeah.
But once you know all 88 keys, you can make music. You can make classical music, jazz, ragtime. You can play the piano and rock and roll because you know the 88 keys, right? Now, the keys is also symbolic because the Papal Church is represented by a gold key and a silver key. The gold key is what they call solar magic, astrology. And the silver key is lunar magic, dreams and tarot and runes, oracles. If you're not a master of both, you can only see one side. The gold key also represents the father line, and the silver key represents the mother line. Right? Masculine and feminine. We're talking about the law of gender now, which takes us back to Hermetics. Everything they do, like we know that when they announced Queen Lizard bitch to be dead, that she had been dead.
Queen Lizard bitch. You a funny dude, Ron. Come on, man. You a funny dude. Go ahead, though. Go ahead. I ain't
We
saying
know,
that. Good.
we know this robotoid that they call Francis. That's why his hands don't come down on his body, because he's a robot.
When you said it on my show, I said Rod is bugging the fuck out. But go ahead, though. Go ahead.
Don't make me send you the receipt, Rich, because you know I will.
Oh man!
Because you know how I send you the receipt of them sliding his ass under the bunk, because it's in my. All I gotta do is go through my Facebook feed, and I'll find that receipt and send it to you, and you'll be like, "I thought he was crazy."
Oh man!
Because I got the receipt, right? But all of this, okay. So now, what the papacy? When a woman go to the gynecologist, what kind of smear do they give her? It's called a pap smear.
Pap smear, yeah.
So now you dealing with somebody that's blocking the vagina, a papacy.
Ooh, you tied that? Oh, you gonna do it like that?
That's what it is.
The papacy, you gonna do it like that? I see you. Yeah. Go ahead.
It's also the poop deck pappy on the pirate ship that his job is relegated to cleaning up shit. So all these words is tied together. Oh. But while you're dealing with the papacy and the poop deck pappy, go all the way back to Egypt when Osiris was fighting Apep. Apep.
And what happened with that fight, Rod, for those who don't know?
It's the eternal fight against chaos versus order. As long as the Father is available, he can fend off the chaos.
Yeah.
But when Set slays the Father, the chaos ensues. That means that there is a contesting of the throne, because he's not the rightful heir, but he's sitting there. He can't sit on it. He can only sit under it. The divine Father can't sit on Big Mama's seat. Right? So when you look up, if you look up the wheel of Osiris, he's sitting there in his 12 zodiac signs around him. But when you look up the wheel of the Great Mother, she sits on the 13th seat. The void is in the middle. That's the eye. The eye at the center of the universe is the all-seeing eye of the Great Mother. She is the one who electrifies with energy called Shakti, the eye that brings the light into the world as a sun. So this is where your Heliopolis and your solar worshipers is talking about when they honoring the Father, but they trying to make you forget the Mother. You can't honor the Father and neglect the Mother, because he came from her. He ain't got no womb. He can't spit no babies out no womb. They've been trying to replicate it for thousands of years, and every time they get close, they fail so miserably, they reset the clock. Ain't no more resets now. They done. They 6,000 years of trying to figure out how to make a man have a baby like a woman. It's over. They know it. We know it. This is all tied to the Pope, because the Pope is supposed to be a woman in that seat, not a man. And he's supposed to wear a black dress, not a white dress. That's why they called her the Black Madonna. She wore a black dress with gold trim. But now they got him with this white dress because that's supposed to be the nuns. The nuns is the mirror reflection of the primordial noon. It's all in the doctrines, but it's so scattered out, we don't know what we're looking at, because we all forgot the holy drama, which is the story that is the blueprint to reclaim and restore order to everything. Whenever the chaos takes over, you know it, because you have people behaving in chaotic manners. You have a misunderstanding the roles of gender, the roles of education, the breaking up the families. All of that's part of the creation of the chaos to play out on the ground as it plays out in the greater universe. As it decaying society, entropy is the building of the chaos. Then this is why all of those secret societies say from the chaos come order.
Yeah. Aleister Crowley and all them, right?
Yeah, like Crowley, they call him evil. He was from the left-hand path. But we don't even know what left-hand path means.
I mean, Rod, he was into like semen and blood type shit. You know what I mean? Like he was
Okay,
in.
now we gotta go. If you really want to understand Crowley, you gotta go back to where he started. Crowley said, I'm gonna go into the Masonic lodges to find out what's going on. And when I get done mastering all ABS, I'm gonna give it away for free to everybody in the world that want it.
Oh, that's what he was doing?
That's what he said he was doing when he was a teenager. Right. He made his mind up to infiltrate the Masonic Lodge and any other secret society that's being used to oppress masses of people. Right? He was a natural pervert. You can't send no straight-laced dude in to drag some perverts out. You got to send a pervert.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
That's why when everybody talk about Puffy, I say, okay, well, who is Puffy trying to drag out? You got to remember, it's a whole movement going on the land. But you can't send no heterosexual in the pack of homosexuals that tell him that you want to drag him out in the open. He ain't gonna never get him out unless he get turned out.
Ooh, yo, this motherfucker dropping it tonight, y'all. Come on. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Whatever happened to Puffy, he better not let Clive get away. That's all I can tell you. His only job is to hold on to Clive Davis until the bitter end, because that's the SOB that he went in to get.
Right. Oh shit.
So all his troubles is in Clive Davis' lap right now.
Cool.
And Clive Davis got a series of associates that's begging him to have somebody X him out while he in the lockup. They want him dead because they know if Clive go down, it's taking down Lyle Cohen, it's taking down Ted Fields, it's taking down what was the dude for Tommy Mottola, Jimmy Iovine, all of the ones that's been physically protected by the Jewish Defense League, the same people that had hits on all of your favorite celebrities. They the same ones that it hasn't changed in 500 years of their oppression. The only thing they just keep tricking you as to what the real dirty hands look like. And Noble Drew Ali showed them to you. And we still don't believe it. We the many, they the few. Mm-hmm. Remember, it was only a third of the angels that fell. That means that it was 2/3 still on the ground. Mm-hmm. So it's 2/3 against 1/3. They not smarter than us individually or collectively, but they had an upper hand because they was concealed amongst us. Mm-hmm. So that gave them a chance to get a head start in the fight. They got a head start. They almost got to the finish line, but they were so busy doing their dirt, they had to call the same people that the righteous got to call to finish the game because they don't know what to do next. Mm. So now we all get together and we say, okay, everybody take a piece of this puzzle and somebody gonna put it all together. So we go back, we read the Nation of Islam, Dr. Elijah Muhammad tell you what he tell you. Clarence 13 next tell you what he tell you. Yahweh ben Yahweh tell you what he tell you. Noble Drew Ali tell you what he tell you. They go all the way back. Marcus Garvey tell you what he tell you. Frederick Douglass tell you what he tell you. And you got in order to win a protracted struggle, we don't study protracted struggle. It's only a couple kids from the Panthers, a couple Viceroy kids from back in the day that have been studying military strategy. It's a couple of them up that they've called 5%ers in New York that study this protracted struggle enough to know where they dog at in the fight. Mm-hmm. Most of us don't know where our dog at in the fight. So we think we kicking somebody else's dog, we kicking our own dog, and now we made our own dogs turn against us. Mm. Right? Dr. Clark told you Just because a statement is not true don't mean it's not used to carry a piece of the truth in it. Right? And this is a hard thing for us to understand because it's code talk. Right? Gil Scott says the ghetto code to the deep dash. Right? Sound like Bugs Bunny or Woody Woodpecker. It's all in there. They telling us the code and how to read it. But we so busy trying to go along to get along that we just angry sheep. I call them angry sheep. Because they'll F you up about their master, but they're not going to do nothing for liberation. Just to keep the system and the status quo intact, your closest road dog going to cross you out because he getting a little bit of a bag. But he don't know they coming for his ass if he get too much of a bag. You got to limit before they come for you. If you go back to the Fab Five Freddy Tupac interview, you see over the next 5 years, y'all gonna see the evolution in y'all face. Through all my struggles, this before the rape case, this is Brenda Got a Baby first album talk. He just now come out for the first time with telling you about Thug Life. He got a Thug Life hat on and he got on some overalls that say Thug Life. And he's explaining Thug Life to Fab Five Freddy. And he told him over the next 5 years, y'all gonna see my misery, my pain, my prophecy, the realization of my prophecy. It's all gonna be there. And then they cut half of the video out now. When you go to try to look it up, a sizable portion of it been clipped. But get Fab Five Freddy on here and ask him about that interview. Everything Tupac said was done with a meticulous purpose from a military strategic mind. He just used entertainment to do it, right? Because it's just like E40. The OG's been telling me for years, man, E40 connecting the Chiefs behind the scene, that music just to cover. Coming to find out, he been doing it the whole time. Now he done got his status up so much that the people that's behind the scenes scared to do anything to him because they don't know if it'll be the spark that ignite the mass tribal rebellion of all of the tribes, right? So they try to catch you before your people know who you are. This is why they got to get Nipsey Hussle out when he start getting big. This is why they got to get rid of Pop Smoke early as possible. And they not going to send no foreigners. They not going to send nobody that don't look like you. They going to send somebody that looks just like you. They going to send somebody look just like you. Might even be from your same set, but he don't know he doing their work. He think he doing the work for his set.
Why would they want Pop Smoke out of here? Pop Smoke was like, that's like drill rap. So why would they want him out of here?
Drill rap is a war call. We can say what we want about drill rap. Drill rap is the battle call for the youth to stand up and get ready to fight. They hate drill rap more than we do. We don't, as our elders, we forget that when we was in our piss and vinegar stage, we was ready for that war. We was about that drama. Only problem was we didn't know who the enemy was. We didn't know they looked like us. They walk like us. They stand next to us. The only difference is instead of talking about how to solve the problem, they pour gasoline on the fire. Right? When we supposed to run that phase, we can't take the L with this dude standing next to us because now he gonna make sure he feed that fire until it become murderous vengeance.
Right.
When you run the fade, okay, you lost, go in the gym, get your training game up, get your skills a little sharper, and go back and try to run the fade again, but nobody died in it. This is the same thing, talking about Shaka. Remember when Shaka first came and they was having what they call simulated combat, and he told his soldiers to handle them because the enemy that's coming don't play by our rules. We have to learn their rules, and their rules keep changing because they like to try to cheat the game. Right? So a lot of the elders got mad at Shaka, but the youth understood it. This is why it's critical and pivotal to get rid of the ones that speak like Malcolm spoke before the youth internalize that fire that he got.
Yeah.
Right? I made my business once I started becoming conscious to listen to Malcolm X as often as possible. Listen to Elijah Muhammad, listen to even Farrakhan. We don't even know how cold the strategic mind of Farrakhan is, but we about to find out. They so sleep on Farrakhan that they don't know what they done tried to kill him multiple times. It ain't like they ain't been trying to kill him. They didn't poison him. They didn't send snipers that the FOI done got him out of there before the sniper can get him. They didn't send everything at Farrakhan. But his strategic acumen, they did not expect that from a holy man, from a high priest, because his position on the land is high priest. They never expected him to have military insight, and he's commanding the FOI. If you look up the most trained security forces in the world, it's going to literally tell you Secret Service, FOI, KGB in that order.
FOI.
That means his security force is so well trained that they rival the greatest security forces of the Russians, the Israelis, the English, the Pope himself. Security, he had to put him in the Pope mobile. Let that sink in. He supposed to be the closest living man to God, and the dude walked up and plugged his ass. You're not finna get to Farrakhan like that. The only way you're gonna get him is an inside man. And as long as Mustafa's standing there, he gonna cower. They not gonna stand up to Mustafa while he's standing there observing over the security, because they can't look into that type of fire and not flinch. Right? It's the same as a gunfighter. He sleep, he wake up looking down the barrel of a double barrel. He can't stay straight face. He gonna flinch. He wasn't expecting to wake up and see that double barrel shotgun. But we don't know none of this, because we going about trying to just make a good life for our families as fathers, as mothers, right? And we allowing the system to run psychological ops on our children because we don't believe they doing it is the only reason it's working. The only reason they got this far is because they got in good enough with us for us to believe that we patriots. I'm not a patriot, I'm a matriot. I'm not for the patriarchy, I'm for the matriarchy. But soon as we remember the tribal traditions and the tribal matriarchal order, and the men start being something different in the presence of the women that stand in that matriarchal motherly energy, we're not gonna let you disrespect it. You done been walking down the street in New York and seeing guys pull up on a dude aggressing one of the old ladies. Hey man, you better leave her alone. That's Auntie so-and-so. She live up there. She been over here for 55 years. You're not finna come giving her a hard time, right? And they don't even really know her like that. That energy of that matriarch make them stand up, even if they didn't want to. Because you would hear them a lot of time walk, man, I don't know why I got in them folks' business. I ain't had nothing to do with that. Yes, you did. You seen the big mama getting disrespected and you checked the one disrespecting her. That's the nature of the masculine when he's being himself. This is why they don't want us to be ourselves. And that's one of the main messages Elijah Muhammad said, accept your own and be yourself. The rest will take care of itself.
Right. You know what's fucked up though, Rod? I'm going to tell you, just to bring in a real life scenario. And I know that all of this sounds great. And the women love it. The women love this type of talk, and the brothers feel like men when you talk like this. But the reality of this is just this particular situation that we're talking about. I was watching, we talking about the Nation of Islam. I was watching an interview with the brother Nuri Muhammad, and Nuri Muhammad, he's a short brother. He's probably about 5'4", 5'5", something like that. And he said he tried to break up a fight one day between a brother who was, manhandling his woman, and he almost lost his life behind it. So it sounds good when we be like, you got to be a man and you got to protect the black woman. But the reality is, you got a family to go home to. You ain't trying to lose your motherfucking life protected somebody you don't know, and most likely they're gonna get back together. So I believe, hold on, Rod, I believe in this situation, when we talk about this, context is king. We
Yes.
have to take into accountability the context behind every situation, because you can't go out there being Captain Save-A-Hole and thinking you being, I'm protecting the matriarch like that. That shit don't. The brother Nuri Muhammad almost lost his life. He's
Listen,
a leader. He's got a family. So that
just to
shit
show you
don't.
that I understand what you're talking about, I
Yeah.
have seen the dude abusing a woman and the guy stop him from abusing her, and she turn around and both of them beat the dude up for
Yeah.
breaking it up.
Yeah.
But that's not the same thing as what I'm talking about. That's what you call an imitation of life.
Mm.
It's a false facade. First of all, the you know the big mama energy when she walk in.
Mm.
All you got to do is watch the babies. Watch the baby. They gonna run to it like they've been knowing their whole life, you know. And she gonna be so happy to see him. That's the big mama energy, not the energy of the one the baby's looking at her like, ooh, she stank.
Mm.
Right? The baby's gonna tell you before the grown folks because we've been desensitized. We've been Pavlovian programmed to only respond to certain situations. That's why it's so hard for men and women to be in a relationship right now, because they both trying to play each other's role. The man trying to be the dominant woman and the woman trying to show him how to be a masculine man, and it ain't gonna never work. They gonna never work. And a lot of what you're talking about, I've seen, but it got to be a point of reckoning in this collective society when it comes to the male-female dynamic. And, you know, it's like people tell you race matter. The only reason race matter is because they need the race card to keep us divided. And that's the number one reason why it matters. But everybody that's powerful deal with people from other races without conflict, or at least without open conflict. Most of their conflict be posturing and gestures. They don't fight. You're not finna see, well, you might see Ibrahim Traore punch one of them in the mouth, but it ain't too many of those world leaders gonna do something. But my boy might get down with one of them if he feeling that way, because he tired. He the same kind of tired I am, right? I slap all of them. But the whole problem being is when you get to a certain level, whether it's the economic level, the social influence level, what they call political influence, is really social influence. Politicians is just them decoy ducks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As long as you see politicians, you won't see the real power. You got to get rid of the politicians to see the power players got to step out front when you get rid of the politicians. Long as you got politicians, the real power players are shielded. They in office buildings and lodges in DC, in New Jersey, and in New York. Now they got a couple more lodges. They got one in LA and they got one in New Orleans. Then that one could be the people down there so hard on them, they can't even operate the same way as the ones in DC, Philly, New York, and New Jersey. The ones coming out of them lodges is the ones telling your politicians what to do. The ones coming out that lodge in California, that's who telling your handlers of celebrities, telling to shut up. Right? Them the ones that put the hit on Michael Jackson. Them the ones that put the hit on Tupac Shakur. Them ones in that lodge out there. Right? If I was to go to one of them and show you where the lodge at, it'd cause so many problems. And for me personally, I could just sit here and tell you where to look for them instead of going out there where they had boots on the ground, creating the problem, because they gonna laugh when they hear me telling y'all. It's funny to them that I'm telling y'all where they lodge is at. The original Dirty Players Fez's is in the George Washington Masonic Memorial. So if you want to know who the original Dirty Moors was, they fans is right there with their names on it. Right? They laugh because they say them people ain't gonna believe what he talking about. Some of them gonna look, and then they gonna find receipts to the receipts to get more fine-tuned, because the more eyes you got on the problem, the more potential you have to solve it.
Right. I want to talk to you about, you done mentioned several times, you referenced Boots on the Ground. And for those who don't know, it's a new dance movement that's going, I don't know if I'm describing it the right way. You know, we had like the electric slide. There's a song, Boots on the Ground, and they be like, where them fans at? It's like a cowboy, or like a black cowboy song, right, Rod?
Yeah.
And it's real fly. And people on
Mississippian culture.
yeah, and people on social media, Rod, I like, they put up a post and they're like, while the world is falling apart, and they show all these images of the world falling apart, they're like, this is what black people doing. And they're like boots on the ground, and they got the fans, and and they're having a good time. And Rod, I've talked to several people, including Sharif Bey, and we talked about how song and dance is our one of our highest technologies that we have. But at the same time, they say black people are into party and bullshit too much, which is, I guess, the negative polarity of song and dance. So talk to me about, if we're talking about entering an altered state, what is it about black people? And I heard Bobby Hemmett say this. Shout out to Kenyatta. He works with Dame. He used to work with Dame Dash. He posted a video clip of Bobby with Bobby saying how dance used to heal us, and there was a conspiracy to eliminate dance within music because dance was used to killing us, bro.
Under the black codes, this is what gave rise to what we call the hole in the wall in the juke joint. We wasn't allowed to have places where we congregated and danced. That was against the law.
Damn.
It was literally illegal under this system, this emerging system of Americanism, for us to sing and dance. Our singing and our dancing, when we see certain people come, our singing and dancing increase because they know victory is close. But when other people come, our singing and dancing, like for instance, remember I was telling you about the Crip Walk for a long time, then you seen the effect of it. The energy shift from Cali now, that's called, it's like playing tennis. They returning to serve. The line dancers, the Midwest going into the South, right? And then they mingling it with the Southern New Orleans cultural movement to come up with this boots on the ground movement. This is us showing our solidarity and our love for one another in the face of the enemy in a manner that he know we showing it, and now he can't do nothing about it. Right? Now we don't need crooked man walking on the land. We don't need the lightning bolt. We don't need, because they ready. Now we need to see, is the love gonna come? Are we gonna really, really make it happen? Is the boots on the ground, are we gonna really kick the shit into the fan? It's coming. It's coming. Because you got to remember, all of this music in America come from Mississippian culture. It all traced back to what we call the Delta Blues, to the Mississippi Delta. And it was the love songs of the man that was learning his woman, and he was identifying his mistakes, and he was telling you how to correct them. But then they stopped us from listening to the music. They villainized the ragtime because they was trying to force classical music on us and opera, European cultural phenomenons of the Moors. We was rebellious to it. This is when Scott Joplin decided to create ragtime. It was a different stroke of them 88 keys in a manner that a person that played classical couldn't always keep up.
So was classical us or not?
Classical is Moorish. It's European Moorish. Our answer to European Moorish classical music was ragtime, which gave birth to all fields of jazz.
You fuck with classical music, right? They say that the best music for your brain. Moorish
Um,
European, right? That's what they say.
well,
They don't say
certain
Ragtime.
ones,
They say
like Bach, Beethoven, the music was originally designed to open up channels in the mind. But because we had a more confrontational character. They
right.
had a more subdued character. So their music wasn't appealing to us. When we wanted to make classical music appealing to us, we created the different genres of jazz. Jazz is the old Mississippi interpretation of classical music.
Mm, mhm, mhm. I want a shout out. I just looked up. I seen we got over 4,000 people in the chat. Damn, we deep up in here tonight, y'all. Shout out to over
Got boots
4.
on the ground where them fans at.
Where them fans at? Yeah, boots on the ground. Damn, we deep up in here tonight, y'all. Shout out to all of y'all. Rod, what I want to ask you, if we're talking about altered states of consciousness, and I need you to give us the game. Don't hold back. Don't say I ain't gonna tell these niggas they gotta work for it. Rod, I need to know if you are able to, like I said, you recommended this book to me, and you like, yo, Rich, I seen that book in the astral realm. How does Rod Hayes, or how do we tap in to this altered state of consciousness to get information the way you do? You're a different type of scholar. We all recognize it. We all appreciate it. We all see it. We see when you on the show with me, you always blowing it down. You the chief. You the big chief. You blowing it down. You know what I'm saying? All the time. So how are you able to tap in to these altered states of consciousness? Because I know a lot of people will love to emulate what you do and get their own version to that will help them individually. How are you able to do this, Rod?
Well, the book that you just showed us, the Book of Yahweh,
Yeah,
when I was studying the Emerald Tablets of Thoth,
yeah.
and I was using some techniques from that book,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know they was working until I started finding stuff like it's hard to distinguish an astral travel from a dream. I always been called a dreamer, dream walker since I was a baby. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They used to call me the dream walker and the prophet because I used to visually see stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to have dreams that would come into reality. So I already had a head start. The training program is to study dreams, to study astral travel, and to study remote viewing. The more you understand any faculty of mind, the easier it is to access it,
Mm.
right? And once you start accessing it, you just have to keep doing it. The
Right,
more you do it, the better you get at it. I,
right.
I always was a loner type. I like to be by myself a lot. And I used to have people talking to me that I couldn't see, and it used to piss me off. So I can't see these people. I don't know where they at, but
Right.
I can hear them talking to me like I hear you talking right now. And it
Say
used to
what?
piss me off. I used to get angry because I'm in this room full of people. I don't know if it's these people playing games with me or if it's these people I can't see that's trying to tell me something.
Mm.
Because by the time I was like maybe 7, I knew it was a difference in the people I couldn't see, the information that they would tell me, and
Mm-hmm.
then the people that I'd be in the room with would tell me some different information. And a lot of time, the information that the people I can't see tell me is more accurate when I follow up to find out how do it work. What
Mm-hmm.
is this? So I used to tell my mama stuff. My mom used to say, baby, you got to be careful. You can't tell people everything you thinking because they're going to think you crazy and drug you up and make you lose your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And if you lose your mind, you lose your soul. And I was like, what the hell? And she's telling this to a 4, 5, 6-year-old, right? But all of the tools are available by studying ESP, by studying astral projection, hemisync. But the more you study, the more you can tap into the faculty. once you recognize how it feel, if you get smells, some people get scents come in, some people get sounds come in. But once you've realized what it takes for you to enter into that altered state, you can duplicate it. But if you never pay attention to what your mind is doing, what your body is feeling, you ain't gonna never be able to tap in. And you gonna always be one of those people that think everybody else is crazy and you the only one know something.
Right. Rod, let me ask you this. Oh man, see, we listen, family. We are. I tell you, I'm the spiritual hype man. The show really just started. The show really just started, family. We have just started. That was just the intro. This shit just started, family. Rod, listen. So I've been watching a lot of like they got these shows on YouTube where these white dudes they go to Europe, not Europe, I'm sorry. They go to Africa and they be with these tribes and shit like that. And they experience how the tribes live and they record it or whatever. And just watching that and my knowledge of always seeing people over in Africa, we're talking about altered states, Rod. They always, you know what they always do when they want to tap into an altered state? And when I want to ask you because I told you one of my closest friends was from South Africa, and South Africa seemed like they got some shit popping over there. They always got a damn mask on, Rod. What is it about the mask in altered states? And is this do the indigenous in America use the same thing? Is this an African thing? Is this an American thing?
It was a global phenomenon of any tribal system.
Talk to me about the mask. Why is the mask so important to tapping in to altered states, higher dimensions? Right now people use drugs. Back then they use masks, Rod. What is it about the mask, Rod? And while you answer that, I'm gonna put the mask on. Go ahead. While you answer that.
So the mask is a physical object that holds a frequency. Whoever make the mask charges the mask with the energy of who or what is trying to repeatedly access. Not just the mask, the statuary too. Like I was going to ask you about the statue that's holding your mic, right? Because she looks slightly African, but she also look a little Cambodian. But this is because some of those masks are thousands of years old. They've been used by so many shamans that if you are from that bloodline and you put it on, it instantly triggers something in your DNA to wake that part of you up. I like that one, by the way, Brother Rich.
Good job. I'm having a good time today, y'all. Yeah, no, right.
Yeah. So those are called sympathies in the occult. They call it a sympathy because it establishes a sympathetic link to a frequency, wavelength, bloodline, character, archetype, and all of that focuses your mirror cells. Right behind your forehead, you have what's called mirror cells in your prefrontal lobe. The object that's been repeatedly charged for so long by so many people, if it's in your bloodline, you can use it. You can use your great-grandmama picture for a mask if you're trying to tap into her energy.
Wow.
You know, but this is why they always was telling us in Islam, pictures is haram. They had a equanimical council on whether they would use the statues of the apostles on the altar and all that stuff, because they were trying to figure out how much of this would they give us access to. That's all it is. You got access to everything, but people are trying to keep the access from you by telling you you don't. But just because they told you don't do it, don't mean you ain't supposed to do it. This is where you come up with your left hand magic and your right hand magic, right? If you don't know who, we all know Michael is the right hand angel of God. Well, who was the left hand angel of God? They don't ever tell you that. Who? Because the left hand angel of God is truly destructive, right? So the right hand angel of God is strictly defensive. He's just blocking and stopping and putting barriers and obstacles in the enemy path. But when the left hand of God is unleashed, he gonna bring down the hammer. He's coming for the drama. They don't want to talk about that. Because now you start tapping into a different frequency that is a liberating frequency. All of this, your brain operate off frequencies. You got alpha wave, theta wave, delta wave, zeta waves. Each one of these wavelengths carry a different type of information, right? You learn best when you in alpha state, right? So you also, alpha state is also what they call the hypnotic induction state.
Right.
Right. But I forget which one when you wide awake, I think it's like the delta state or the beta state. That's the one where you live in virtual reality and you ain't paying attention to the stuff that's hidden in plain sight. But when you merge alpha, beta, delta, zeta wave together and you get them all working in harmony, now you have hemisync, full brain access. Then your two chambers of your left brain ain't beating by themselves. Now your right brain beating with your left brain. Now you got to balance that out. And now you got 4 chambers in your brain that's sucking that sacred secretion to the top like a vacuum. You got to pump in the back of your neck. You got to pump at the base of your spine.
Right.
Why? What they pumping?
What are they pumping?
Cerebral spinal fluid is called the silver fluid. But the one that they call the Christos fluid is the golden elixir, the golden fluid that travels up the spine. Yeah. You can't never access it with only one half of your brain. And this is why they always try to teach all children to be right-handed. I'll say, don't teach them to be right-handed. Teach them to be ambidextrous where they can activate both sides. Don't force them to stop using their left. Just help them with their right. If they want to write with you write left-handed Monday, on Tuesday you write right-handed. Wednesday you write left-handed, Thursday you write right-handed. Right? And you alternate it like that until they good with both hands. You see in calligraphy studies in Japan, right, you see a person that has the brain separated in 4 quadrants. That means they can operate upper left brain, lower left brain, upper right brain, lower right brain. Right. And they can write something different with left hand, right hand, left foot, right foot.
You know, I told you before, Rod. I told you this. I noticed this because I played piano. I said, you know, both of my hands have a different personality. So
yeah,
if I play something with my right hand, I could play something with my left hand, and I'd be like, damn, why didn't I think about that before? And I'd be like, oh shit, because it was my right hand playing before. My left hand is playing something completely different. The same when writing, because sometimes I practice writing with my left hand. It's a different thought process that happens in my mind. So we have been cut off from a significant part of our magic by not using both hands, because your left hand could come up with some shit that your right hand can't. We don't even know it because we don't use it, bro. This shit is crazy, man.
And the first thing somebody will tell you, I tried to write with my left hand, but it was too hard.
Yeah, the first thing, yeah.
It's not hard.
So they quit.
Your left hand is untrained. Your right hand is well trained.
That's all it is. Thank you, my brother. Thank you.
It's Michael Jordan at 13 versus Michael Jordan at 33.
I love that analogy because it's a Michael Jordan analogy with both hands. With both, I love that. Was a good one. That was a good one.
If you go back at 13, Mike wasn't even playing basketball. He's playing baseball.
He said he sucked. Yeah, he sucked at 13. Yeah, that was a good analogy. Oh man.
Right. But once he started playing basketball, right, when he was 33, he was the GOAT.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? Look what happened in the 20-year shift. He changed his whole sport, right? And he changed how he performed. Matter of fact, if you remember when he first came, he was relentless to the basket. Remember? Mm-hmm. But then when he took the retirement year off, he came back, he had something called a fadeaway.
Fadeaway. He had to develop the fadeaway, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That means that he had to train a whole new basketball skill set and altered his game in order to take him to even another level.
Indeed.
You see, so we think we don't want to do stuff because it's hard. Everything hard when you don't know how to do it. But if you see somebody that's a real good pool shooter, and you be like, man, how you get that good? They start laughing. And they gonna say, by shooting pool. You can't get better if you don't play the game. You can't tap your psychic abilities if you don't practice tapping your psychic abilities. This is why they got tools to help you train your psychic faculty, like tarot cards, runes, I Ching, cowrie shells. Then when you start getting good at those, you'll be able to go outside, and then you can hear the way that the wind rustle the leaves tells you something about the weather pattern.
And speaking of that, family, I'm gonna do this because it's important that we change things up. We have 4,200 people in the chat tonight. I'm gonna take, you know how we take commercial breaks? We're gonna take another 60-second spiritual break to just listen to the sounds of creation. You know what I'm saying? And for those who leave, you weren't meant to be on this live in the first place. And those who stay, we know you were meant to be on this live. This isn't just entertainment, family. We're serious about this shit. Regardless of I'm being a spiritual hype man or not, we're serious about this shit. So we're gonna take a 60-second break. For those who ain't serious, you can leave, no problem. Love you all. Appreciate you when you staying here. For those who want to stay, stay. But we're gonna take a 60-second break to get into some sounds of nature and sounds of the universe, and we'll be right back to close out the show. We got about 20 more minutes left, 30 more minutes left. We'll be right back after this 30-second universal acoustic break. Right. I'll be so hyped after I do that, family. I come back. When I come back up, he's like, I gotta calm down for a second after I come back from that. I appreciate that sound.
Hey, Rich, tell us about the piece that's holding the mic while you.
Yo, Rod, I got this from a store. I don't know much, man. I got this from the store in Manhattan, and they weren't able to tell me much. But this statue right here, I get a certain vibe, a certain energy, a certain resonance. Let me just show y'all. So this is the whole statue. It was old when I got it, and they was like, "Yo, this is an old joint, whatever, whatever." They was, and I'm just like, and they showed me a new joint. I'm like, "Nah, I want the old joint." There was just something about it. So I was doing an interview with A. Rashid, and we didn't have a mic stand. And A was like, "Yo, use the statue for the mic stand." And I was like, "Oh shit, that is incredible." So ever since then, I've been using it, and my interviews is better when I use the stand. I feel like I'm just more alive. I have more fun. So I want to thank the statue for just assisting me, and this what I do right here, Rod.
Yeah, I was telling you earlier, she looked like she's slightly Cambodian.
Is it a sister? You said a sister. This look like this is a
Yeah.
dude. What do you think?
No, that's a female. Okay, you see the what they call the waistband?
Right. What this right here,
Yep. Then you see the split down the middle?
right there. Uh-huh.
Yeah. That's how you know it's a skirt.
But dudes ain't wear that back in there, and then that no.
No.
Ooh. Okay.
That's a 100% female. Now
Mm.
remember, most of these priests is masquerading as women.
Somebody said no boobs. As an American man, the first thing I would think about is where the fuck the boobs at. Somebody said that. You know what I mean?
All women don't have big boobs. All women don't have big boobs.
Right.
But when you look at the earrings, the hairstyle is the beehive.
Yeah.
That's a woman all day long.
Mm.
And if
Right.
I keep on looking to, I might even remember where she from because it looked familiar.
Shit. Yeah, I know you be tapping in, Rod. Yo, Rod, you know what? I want to get to a couple of questions from y'all before we get out here. So start putting questions in the chat. Rod, I be talking to you on the phone, brother, and we be talking about some topics, and we was talking about the tobacco. One of my new nicknames is Tobacco Rich. You
I
know,
know that.
that's one of my. I got the. Listen, I gotta send you this, Rod. You gotta send me an address, a PO box
Okay.
or something. I got 100% pure tobacco from the curanderos, the shamans in Honduras. This is where Dr. Sabi's from. The dudes that cured Dr. Sabi, the curanderos, the tobacco they use to do their rituals. I got their tobacco in my possession. And when I tell you I used it, Rod, and when I tell you I had major breakthroughs, I mean, like, it made me realize, Rod, the weed we get out here ain't shit. And I'm not into weed that much. But all this shit, man, listen, I'm not even in the shrooms that much. But listen, the tobacco that for some reason, we hear about everything else. The shrooms, DMT, Bufo. We hear about all types of shit. Take Bufo, take DMT, take this. We never hear about, the Americans was into tobacco. We never hear that. We don't hear that shit. We hear about everything else, but we don't hear that. And when I got into this and I smoked this, I said, "Oh shit, this is some shit." I said, "Oh, right, yo, this is some." I mean, you was talking on the phone about the whole nicotine conspiracy and all of that, but Rod, oh shit, man, brother, it is on and popping like never before. Give me and the reason why I bring this up is because number one, I got a whole thing going on. I'm gonna make an announcement, a whole thing going on, but I'm not gonna talk about it tonight. A whole thing going on. Quick note: everybody who sent the donation for the tobacco, I sent everybody's cigar out today, so you should get it by Friday, Saturday. So if you're watching, you like, nigga, you saying that, but where my shit at? I sent everybody's out. You should get it by Friday or Saturday. You can email me if you didn't get it. But I sent everybody who sent me their address. I sent it out today, and you should get it by Friday or Saturday. But Rod, I was watching this joint on YouTube, like I said, with the white boys that go in Africa and they with these tribes. And one of the things the tribes do, all of them. I mean, these are like tribes. All they want to do is hunt. All they do is hunt, and they protect the woman. They protect their village, and they live a happy life, song, dance, all that. But one of the things they all do is engage in tobacco,
Yeah.
not weed, not all this exotic shit. I took a mushroom from a tree. All of them, they into tobacco, bro. All the African tribes that I watch on these shows. So if we're talking about altered states, what is it about tobacco in altered states, Rod
We've been
Hayes?
using tobacco so long that it automatically has an allure to us.
Okay.
The problem with modern cigarettes from like Winston and Marlboro is the chemicals they put on it is designed to stifle the effects of the natural tobacco. When they tell you about the best cigars, where they tell you they're from, Rich,
Cuba.
Cuba got a certain environment, but that same environment is in Dominica, Haiti. They grow tobacco there too.
Yep. Yep.
That same environment is in Jamaica. They grow tobacco there too, right? The hardest tobacco to get is you have to hike up the mountains in Jamaica to get from the high shamans. They don't like to share it because of the medicinal values of it and the spiritual attuning values it have. It's hard to get. So a lot of the other shamans like Rastas settle for marijuana.
Mm,
But
mm,
tobacco is ancient to us. We've been using it for spiritual purposes for so long that sometimes when you get real, fresh, clean tobacco with no pesticides or herbicides on it, it can have the effect of immediately waking you up on the first puff.
yeah.
You know, it's cultural, but the culture is tied to the connection between the environment, the land, and the communication of the land and the foliage with the people. I mean, you probably heard me say we sprang up like trees.
Yeah.
We originally came up like trees, but I say that for a reason because the foliage, the health of the foliage tell you the health of the planet,
Right.
right? Now you seeing that they're starting to grow grass in the desert. That's a good sign. That's what they call the return of Oshun in the Orisha story. The deserts fade away and become lush vegetation. But when Oshun withholds her sweet waters, then the masculine energy create deserts trying to beat sweet water from a rock. That's where the term you can't get water from a rock. You
Mm-hmm.
can't get blood from a rock. You can make a rock sweat and get water from it, but you can't beat water out of a rock.
Mm,
You beat that rock all day long and you will just keep coming up with dust,
mm,
right? It's making a desert. And the desert is the side effect of the rogue patriarchy and warfare and the disrespect of the divine feminine, right? The recognition of the divine feminine and the embracing brings about foliage that's going to tell you it's communication with the vegetation and different. It's the same way if you eat fresh food from your own garden, you're gonna be healthier than anything you get out the grocery store.
yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I see. David said, can we still send donations? Yeah. Next week. Not right now. I'm getting packaging and everything together right now. So that first batch, they was lucky. They got that first batch out, but not right now. But next week I will give because I'm gonna use PayPal instead of Cash App. I'm gonna use PayPal instead of Cash App. So I have everything set up by next week. But family, this is absolutely, and I'm Rod. I'm gonna talk to you. I gotta send you one of these joints. And I seen Q. Shout out to Q Reeves in the audience. I gotta call you back, brother. You sent me the text. I gotta call you back about that and chop it up with you. Got to make a few tweaks, but we gonna definitely get a live going in before the month is over. But yeah, by next week I'll be popping David and I'll let everybody know. Shout out to everybody. Somebody asked about it, shipping tobacco. Yeah, it's good. It's legal. I checked into all the legalities. It's legal. Um, that's why I'm accepting it as donations, and I'm not you can't send loose tobacco. I'm sending a cigar. You can send a cigar as a gift. People do it all the time. People do it for weddings, if they get married, if they have certain ceremonies. But as far as loose tobacco, they don't want you to mail loose tobacco in the mail. I'm not mailing loose tobacco. I'm just mailing a gift, a cigar gift. So that's perfectly legal. Perfectly legal. Just to let y'all know, perfectly legal to mail a loose cigar. But let's get to a couple of questions. Somebody said I could get it sent to. Yeah, you can get it sent to Toronto. You just got to pay the shipping. But like I said, next week I'll have all the information for y'all. I'm gonna set it up on PayPal. So whoever set it up, they was lucky they got the first. Red Pill's actually coming over this weekend, Rod. Red Pill coming to my spot this weekend, and we're gonna get it in. We're gonna be Tobacco Chiefs this weekend. So shout out to Red Pill coming over this weekend, and we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna have a good time, man. But it's Rod, everybody who, before we get into these questions, we're talking about altered states of consciousness, Rod, and we're talking about creating a change in the world. Everybody it seems who creates change in this world, Rod, they not sober, Rod. I'm just being honest. It's like I was honest earlier, Rod. You talking about what are you talking about? What's that called in San Francisco? Something Valley. What is called, family? Them people them computer dudes out in San Francisco. What they call
Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley. They microdose all day. They microdosing all day. If you talk to some of the rappers, they're like, yo, I took ecstasy. I took this. I took that. That's what helped me tap in. You talk to the shamans, they're always taking something, Rod, before a ceremony. It could be a liquid. It could be tobacco. It could be somebody's always taking something. And then when it gets to the average person, they're like, nigga, don't take shit. And then the average person don't make no breakthrough. They're just always reading and studying. But the people who make the breakthroughs, Rod, is doing something. So talk to me about all these things that people are taking to make breakthroughs and change. Silicon Valley, the microdosing, and then the average person just think, I'm just going to meditate. And it seems as though the people who taking these things are experiencing more success, Rod. Let's just have a conversation real quick about that, my brother.
Well, I'm finna show you. This is a book.
Yeah.
See this book right here?
Hold up, Rod. Hold up.
Hold on. It's called Breaking Open the Head.
Okay.
And it's called Breaking Open the Head, a psychedelic journey into the heart of contemporary shamanism.
Uh-huh.
We've been using aids. They call them, it's like assist tools, right? Because we become trained to be so rigid in our consciousness that anything psychic-like becomes blocked out. But when we relax that rigid stance, this is what substance help you do. Relax that rigid stance opens the gateway of higher frequencies to come in. A lot of, like, for instance, the psilocybins give you a different access than, say, marijuana. And this is just changing your lockdown frequency to a liberating frequency. Everybody don't need, like, for instance, Elijah Muhammad wasn't into substance. Malcolm wasn't into substance.
Right.
But before he became awake, he indulged in it as recreation. When your intentions matter. When you use, whether it's marijuana, peyote, whether it's tobacco, your intentions matter. If you're using it with the intention of accessing higher states or altered states, you can use it. But if you don't know, if you're just having fun, then your psychic effects become bad trips, right? And there's a lot of study that's been done. That's why I made reference to that book. There's a lot of study that's been done because shamans have been using the substances of the earth from the beginning. That's not new. But the plants have a life.
Mm-hmm.
And in their lifetime, they collect information. Releasing the information, you can absorb the information depending on how you utilize the substance.
Okay.
Right? They got one of the most potent detox substances known to man is banned in America. It's called African LSD, aka Ibogaine. For
Shit.
people that's severely addicted to narcotics, it's the only substance that one use can cure a crackhead that's been a crackhead for 20 years.
Damn.
And it also it re-improves the brain structure because it goes back to what purpose did it have in the beginning. If you go back to Genesis, they didn't get kicked out because they started discussing philosophy. They got kicked out because they ate from a tree called knowledge, right? But that still ain't the real reason they got kicked out. They got kicked out because they didn't want them to eat from another tree with all this knowledge called a tree of eternal life and be like one of them, the gods. These are plants. The tree of eternal life is a plant. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil is a plant, right? It tells you to use the herb for that which it is good. That means for its intended purpose. The intended purpose of all of the tobacco types is generally to waken you up a little bit more on a day-to-day basis. You're not supposed to be addicted to nothing, right? This is your vice lord. You're supposed to govern your vice. You don't let your vice govern you, right? So once you become a vice lord, now you in Big Mama house. Black and gold is your colors, right? But you got to come either from the blue house or the red house, right? Then you got to get flipped back and forth between the two to determine your character, right? So all of these tools, it's just like a mechanic got a whole box of tools. Shaman's got a whole bag of herbs. They're not all the same. Sometimes I smoke roses with my herbs. Sometimes I smoke lavender.
Right.
Sometimes I put goldenrod in there. They all got different purposes. And they all do different stuff. Right? So you would know when I start smoking roses in the blunt because I can't help it. It just come out and I'll be like, I'm smoking buzzing roses. That's what I'm smoking. I can't help it. I can't help it because the rose and the weed together, that's the effect that it have on me. It's almost like a comical recognition that I'm smoking marijuana and roses. Right? But if I smoke marijuana mixed with lavender, oh, it's going to be a good sleep night tonight. Right?
Lavender.
Right. So the different herbs do different stuff. We didn't just all smoke straight marijuana. Right? Or straight tobacco. We used to all smoke all kind of herbs. Right? They all got a different, the purpose of burning it is to release the energy that's trapped inside of the leaf. Right? Once the energy is released, you can absorb it and you can utilize it, access the mind of the plant.
Right.
Like I told you about when I took the mushroom trip and I had the magnificent light show and my man come in talking about, I'm silly old Simon, the spirit of the mushroom, right? Yeah. So and I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, I'm tripping because I'm thinking like you can't really be the spirit of the mushroom.
Yeah.
And then he showed me all of this stuff about mushrooms I didn't know. And then I was sitting there skeptical as can be. And then it started coming across my feed, everything he told me.
Mm.
From the elk in the mushroom to the proboscis monkey in the mushroom to the psilocybins that lights up the dark cave as fluorescence, right? And I was like, damn, I didn't know none of that stuff before psilocybin told me. And then he like, he like, and then he asked me, he's like, you know why I like the name psilocybin? I was like, no. He said, because it sounds like silly ass Cyrus. I'm like, I'm over here dying laughing, Rich, because he's giving me all of this stuff. But when I start really knowing that it was some real spiel, is when my regular feed started showing me everything he told me on the trip. Right?
Man.
That means that whatever the psilocybin, because he said you can access the information of the psilocybin network. It's the same as the neural network if you have the love for the mushroom, the psilocybin. And one of my favorite things on my pizza is mushrooms. Always have been. I can eat a mushroom pizza with nothing but mushroom, cheese, and sauce. Right? So I always liked it mushrooms. I got this strong, like I can make a whole portobello mushroom steak sandwich with no meat, just with the lettuce, tomatoes, and the slice of cheese, and put some, mayonnaise on it, mustard, and give it the business. So it's already in me to like mushrooms. I already got a predisposition and a strong affection toward the mushroom. I just didn't know that the mushroom had this mind connection network that I could access by loving mushrooms until I went on had that trip.
Hey,
I don't like mushroom trips because I get cold. I don't like being cold.
Rod, I always hear when we talk about Kemen, I always hear about the Blue Lotus. So I'm glad this person asked this question. Shout out to the Sirius B113. Rod, what do you know about smoking or drinking Blue Lotus? What you ever did that, Rod?
I haven't in this lifetime, but the Blue Lotus is the sister of the Blue Lotus House, is what they used to call them. And it's an oracle sisterhood of priestess that would drink the tea on a regular basis, and they would use it in all kind of confectionery and stuff. And they reverence the Blue Lotus. So it's got a strong connection in ancient Kemet among the sisters.
Oh, fire. All right. Let's get to another. Oh, you know what? Before I continue, because somebody had asked me, let's put the brother Rod Hayes Cash App. Hold up on the screen. I know a lot of y'all know it by now. Make sure y'all support. Somebody had asked about supporting the brother. Let me see. Listen, all right, so family, so we've been live for about almost 2 hours, and this brother right here, man, we got over 4,000 people in the chat. We got over 4. That's a lot of people to have on a Tuesday night at 11 o'clock talking about spirituality. There's not many. Think about it. We live in a whole globe, billions, all these people. There's not many places where there's a group of 4,000 people gathered virtually to talk about spiritual topics. We are one of them. We are one of the rare groups all over the world, 4,000 deep, talking about spiritual topics. Support the man who's responsible. What this is my platform, but the brother Rod, he brings a certain energy to his show. So shout out to Rod. Make sure you support him. Show love to him on his Cash App. You can support him via Cash App, $, capital SIK, capital APE68. Show the brother love, man. This is rare. This don't take this for granted, family. This you ain't gonna see. There's a whole world full of people and you won't see this on a Tuesday night. Over 4,000 people gathered. Show love for one of the brothers who's here tonight and doing what he does, man. All right. Rod, real quick, somebody wants to know, can you break down monatomic gold, Rod? What's the deal with the monatomic gold? I'll be seeing Billy and Blue Pill talk about that shit. What's the deal with the monatomic gold, Rod?
It helps the body operate at its highest capable efficiency levels. The monatomic gold, if you get it in its pure state, you won't even need food. You'll just need a sip of water, and you'll be able to literally activate your macabre and fly up out of here wherever you at.
Damn.
But you also have other monoatomic elements other than gold, like platinum, monoatomic silver, iridium, and the collective of them is just called ormus. Orbit, or it means orbitally rearranged molecular substance or something like that. But the priests of old used to use it to access the highest possible states of consciousness, and they used it to map the mind. But in modern times, we just now becoming reacquainted with it in probably the last 25 or 30 years, and some people it's even been less than that. You know, and because when it's in its monoatomic state, which is the single molecule state, it looks like what's that stuff called? Silica. It looks like silica under the microscope, right? But it has so many properties. It eliminates the entropy of the combustion in the cellular processing of energy, right? So it's like a balancing chemistry. The chemistry is to balance the where you burning so efficient that you have no entropy. And if you take away the entropy, you won't age no more. You take away the entropy, you won't have mental decline, physical decline. All that stuff goes away. And a lot of people believe that the monoatomic gold is the fountain of youth. Or the philosopher's stone.
Rod, next question. Could you talk about burning ancestor money? What's your thoughts on that, brother?
That's a more like a tribal specialty, right? Where you can designate a dollar note as ancestral money to access the wealth that the ancestral line has, but that's not my area.
All right, next question. Rod, what does it mean to dream of free falling? However, not knowing what direction one is moving, not knowing if you're falling up, down, right, or left.
I never heard of nobody falling up.
Yeah.
Let that sink in. So look, when you're in the free fall state, you got to be sure you falling and not rising. Right? I put a post up a couple days ago on my Facebook. It say, be prepared to dive to the deepest depths if you want to rise to the highest heights. The training is the same. The same breath control, the same focus, the same concentration to dive to the bottom of a deep pool is the same to rise to the heights. It's just the only difference is you in the 3D and opposites matter.
Next question. Well, man, this chat moving. You got this chat moving fast, Ron. Can an Orisha choose you without being initiated?
They in your bloodline already. They not only are they in your bloodline, they codons on your DNA. All of the 7 Orisha are codons on the DNA. They just what you call so you imagine like you got T cells that command your white cells what to do in the body. The Orisha on the line that they own command the network of amino acids that make that DNA chain up. And there's 7 major sections to the helix.
Mm-hmm.
and each one is governed by a different Orisha. You
Mm-hmm.
don't even have to be melanated for them to call you forth.
Mm-hmm. Mm. All right, let's keep this thing moving, y'all. Piece of the planet. Can Tesla coils be used to raise consciousness and activate ancestral energy? Thanks for the super chat donation, TR.
You can do almost anything with a Tesla coil. Matter of
Mm.
fact, when I describe the divine feminine woman in her true nature, I call her a Tesla coil
Ooh.
because she's able to manipulate reality with the power of love and thought alone. But it's so many of us, and those are the women that normally had the hardest life, and people try the hardest to control them
Right.
because they want that access to that frequency, but they don't want her to wake up to the selfish desires of their desire for that access. So they
Mm-hmm.
try to subjugate her and force her into performing, and she can't perform by force. She can only perform from a place of love and reciprocity. And this is why men are required to learn how to help a woman balance her emotions with her intellect. In other words, balance her feminine energy with
Mm-hmm.
his masculine energy, and then he can read. He can know. Okay, she moving like this. That means it's gonna rain in 3 days at 4 o'clock. She just
Mm-hmm.
know by the way she moving her energy, because her energy, she can be a walking oracle where you can read her like tarot cards, or
Mm-hmm.
she could be a walking disaster to tear your life apart because you don't want to do your part by learning your woman.
Hmm.
And most of the guys don't know that it's just important as to learn your woman as to learn your favorite sport. It might be more important to learn your woman if you plan on having a happy life.
So the happy wife, happy life shit is real, huh?
Well, it's not just happy wife, happy life, right? It's happy means happy team. Because you're not going to be happy making her miserable because she can't stay miserable while you happy, and you can't stay happy while she miserable.
Mm.
So by balancing the two, it's the teamwork. What makes the dream work. It's the weaving of the two together in a unit. And the man that's mastered that ability has that ability no matter what woman he with. And that's why the man that every woman wants is the man that every woman wants, because he's the natural at that ability to bring out the best in that woman.
Hmm.
Because he understands the nature of the feminine and the power that he can wield. That's why they say behind every great man is a great woman. She
Mm-hmm.
don't have to do nothing. That's the crazy part. All she got to do is, if you can keep her in her divine feminine energy, stuff happens when you plan. You get to see through cracks in the game. You get to sew the game up, restructure the game, reset the game, all because you know how to read her energy. It's important. It didn't have nothing to do with preferential of the wife over the husband or the husband over the wife, because it's a team. You can't take the team aspect out of a functional relationship. Soon as somebody become a dictator, it's not a team no more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you end up with uncivil war fought in a civil warfare manner. That's why they call it domestic violence. It's uncivil civil warfare.
Mm. All right, let's keep this thing going. I'm trying to look for some good questions. I think I got one saved. Somebody wants to know, if you get dementia, do you lose your soul? I heard
No.
any. No. Okay.
So dementia is caused by plaque in the brain that blocks the firing of the synapses. And that's done through the diet. The diet and toxins is what causes Alzheimer's and dementia. That can't cause you to lose your soul. You can't lose your soul, but
Mm-hmm.
you can use you when they say lose your mind, lose your soul. That means when you doing something that is so out of character, that's not you no more. That's what the ancients call losing your soul. You've
Mm,
lost yourself in behaving outside of who you are.
mm,
But you can't, and you can't sell your soul.
mm.
What they gonna do? Put it in the bag and take it with them?
Oh, but Rod, let's keep this thing going. Let's keep this thing keep going. Rod, will we evolve into the physical where we would well hold on where we would be to withstand temperature of space? This has to do to when you said you hate being cold. Do you understand that
There,
question?
there is, yeah. So they talking about the absolute zero of space, where it's so cold that things instantly freeze.
Okay.
When you go into your Merkaba body, you generate enough heat where the external don't affect you like that.
Mm,
And we've evolved and devolved through that cycle many times throughout the eons of existence.
mm-hmm,
And we'll get there again. We just won't be the day of tomorrows because it's a heavy amount of work, collective unison work required just for one of us to make it to that level of evolution. And the ones who are already at that level of evolution, they come and go as they please and they don't participate in the affairs of mortals.
mm. Keep this thing moving. New Diamond, shout out to New Diamond. She wants to know, what do you think will happen next, now that the Pope has passed away?
It's hard to say. I don't really like trying to do predictions, but there's some characteristics to the fall of this empire. They're going to try to appoint a new pope. That's going to go bad for some reason, but I don't know what's going to cause it. But the next pope's supposed to be the last pope, but really it's the pope they just announced dead because he wasn't really the pope, right? That was which one they say just passed Benedict?
Francis, I think, right?
Francis. Then the one right before him was Benedict. He was the pope before the last pope.
Mm,
Because the only way that the pope can leave his position is through death. That's why they use old men, because it's a lifetime position. If you put one of them rotten SOBs in the pope position for 50 years, they be ran so much havoc on the world. So they always use old men because their lifespans are already pretty much expired.
mm-hmm,
But it's going to be used as a catalyst for other things they want to justify accomplishing. But it don't mean that it's something that they wasn't going to try anyway. They just needed the opportunity or the excuse or the event to be announced so that they can tell you what the next wave of their plan is. But it don't matter what they plan.
mm-hmm,
They lost. It's over. They eviction notice is served.
mm-hmm.
They can come up and prop up as many of these cross-dressing popes as they want to. They're not going to take the place of the divine feminine.
Right.
Right? And the return of the ancient ones is at hand. We here.
Yes, sir.
And this is not our first rodeo. This is not the first time that we had to go through this. This is just the only time you remember because it's the time you're dealing with right now.
Right.
Right? When you playing in the 2025 championship game, you don't give a damn about the 2024 championship game, especially when you're playing against a different team.
Mm.
Right? You know that game already won. That's over with. This is where we at because all of this charade game they playing, this galactic chess game they playing, games of the gods, board games, lodge games, they all expiring in real time. And as they all fall, they have to make these announcements like the lizard bitch died, the trans-testicle pope died. All of those are what they call markers, just to mark where they at in the fall of the old system. Because
Right.
all it is about changing the system into a new, more prosperous system. Because somebody thought they could do it better than the ones who had been doing it for eons. So they had 6,000 years to prove themselves and they failed.
Mm-hmm.
They was too focused on trying to turn men into women than trying to find peace and harmony and bring heaven back to earth.
Mm. Let's get to the next question, Rod. We're gonna do about three more before we get out here. We officially crossed the 2 hour mark. We still got 4,200 people in the building. Shout out to everybody who's tapped into this information tonight. Rod, I Storm wants to know: can you talk about the Haiti Empire in America? I hope I'm saying that right. Is it Haiti or Haiti?
I 80.
Yeah.
So they are critical right now. Like all eyes from the Americas, North, Central, and South, should be on I-80. We need to be hoping that we see them experience prosperity and fast,
Mm-hmm.
because they the ones who've been economically in last place, and they gonna get the first payout on the turnaround. Because
Mm.
the last gonna be made first, it's already written. And the first gonna be made last, meaning all of them leeches and blood suckers that thought they was at the top, they
Right.
finna get kicked to the back of the bus.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We gonna put them on the caboose of the train, and then I hope I had a saboteur that while we moving the train real fast, that they disconnect their boxcar and leave their ass rolling in the opposite direction.
Oh shit.
But AT is important. The Haitian Revolution, this is what your divine insight was fighting for. This is what you got Orisha Stone, my chief of staff, Rising Phoenix. This is what they've been fighting for, to close out the Haitian revolutionary conjure so that they could bring the prosperity back to the island. And if you follow the migration, when they left after the French was ran out of there, they went to two places primarily. They went to New Orleans and they went to Florida. The
Mm-hmm.
soldiers went to Florida to fight the Gullah Wars.
Mm-hmm.
The priests and priestesses went to New Orleans to fight the Conjure Wars. We in the return of that. Everything has to come full circle in order to flip out of the infinity loop. This is a wrap, and they are critical. Jamaica is critical too, because Duddy Bookman came from Jamaica to Haiti in order to assist in the and it wasn't no pale faces they was fighting, contrary to popular opinion. They was fighting Negropeans called Huguenots.
Mm. Huguenots.
Yeah, that was the French equivalent of conquistadors.
Right. That's who they was fighting.
Yep.
Hmm. Boy, Rod dropping a history for us, y'all. All right, let's keep this thing going, man. Like I said, wow, what a show! In the very beginning, I said this. I knew what it was going to be tonight. Rod, they want to know. Okay, they want to know what's your take on walk-in souls and soul transference. Oh, damn, shit! They getting
The
smoked.
walk-in can only come in when somebody totally give up on their life.
Mm.
You walk in just can't walk into somebody that's living a fulfilled life. The
Mm.
walk-in can, like if a person's suicidal
Mm.
and all of a sudden he decided I ain't suicidal no more, and then his whole life started changing for the better, that's a walk-in.
Shit.
Because
Damn.
it's tied to a soul contract or a book of life. Your book of life is what the path you chose to walk when you incarnate,
Mm.
right? And as you walk that path, and some people get so confused about their book of life and forget about the agreement they made before they came, due to the effectiveness of the system that we work at, that we existing in, they become suicidal.
Mm.
Because whenever you got a right to exit whenever you're ready. But if you have a purpose that's bigger than you and
Mm.
bigger than your, like for instance, some people book a life, they live in the GERT for 60 years and then they cross back over. Nobody never really have any interaction with them. But then other people's life have so many people tied to them, they can't just leave and leave them people with absent pages in their books of life that causes catastrophe. So you got a spiritual person, probably an ancestor, that's reading your book of life, say, I can finish this and I can make it better.
Mm.
So they'll come in as a walk-in. Go ahead, son. Go on. I'll let you tap out. And we're going to let Uncle Willie over there. He can live this path before a couple of times. He can handle this with ease and make it better. So he come in, change everything around, and the whole life is better. Soul transference is only done through clones. Clone don't have a direct link to the bloodline because they artificially manufactured, unless it's a twin in utero. When that happened, the original person the clone was taken from, when they pass on in physical form, if they pass on by accident or some calamity and they were supposed to finish something, they can transfer all their energy to their clone to finish the job that they came to complete. So those are different things.
Man, all right, we're gonna do. We got two more final questions. One of them is the second and last one is: what essential symptoms have you been experiencing during this Earth upgrade? Rod, this is to you. What have
Man, I
you
didn't
been?
have. Listen, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday last week, I was in the bed.
Shit.
My whole head felt like it was gonna bust.
Ah.
My sinuses get clogged,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then some of the other symptoms that I had was stomach aches, back aches, shoulder pain, and I had a whole lot of different ones, but those are the most recent ones, especially the sore muscles.
Mm. And Rod, let me ask you: how do you know those are ascension symptoms in particular?
Because I know I ain't sick.
Mm.
I know what they is when I feel them.
Right, right, right.
Like, for instance, what triggered the bed thing for 3 days was a solar flare came in.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
All you gotta do is look. You can time it.
Mm-hmm.
Solar flare, Schumann resonance, knocked out, or you could get the reverse. Solar flare, Schumann resonance, manic, can't sleep, up, got to do something, finishing everything up. Like, man was to make me sit my ass down because I had to come back from a sabbatical, back to social media to continue trying to wake people up and help them see that there's more to this than what we've been told. So in order to make sure I'm rested when I get to Brother Rich, Big Mama say, here, go sit your ass down.
Right, 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 right. Oh man. Um. Oh man. Let's get to one last question. I really want to ask. I want to ask this one because it seems simple, but it seems very simple. But I want to ask it. Why we gotta know thyself? Nigga said, why we gotta know thyself? It seems simple, but it's a lot of layers to this answer. That's why I want to ask it, Rod. Why do we have to know thyself, Rod?
The same reason when somebody's robbing your ass, you need to know who the police is.
Hmm.
Your condition and your life mission is best understood by knowing who you are. If you don't know how you're going to react to a certain situation, life going to put you in that situation for you to jot it down in your book of notes of self so you will know if any of that happen again, I know what to do next time. The knowledge of self is what awaken you up to who you were in past lives, your ancestral responsibilities. What do you have to do for your bloodline, your lineage, in order for all of the people that came before you to have intrinsic value? I do not know my grandfather's name personally.
Mm-hmm.
In order for him to have any intrinsic value, they have to be expressed through me for
Mm-hmm.
my children to know he was important,
Mm-hmm.
or else I wouldn't be here. Take any one of your ancestors from out of the equation and you a different person.
Mm-hmm.
Every ancestor that you had, they had to come in order for you to exist. Knowing yourself is knowing what you came here for, and it's also to help you understand your life mission, your life purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And it's to keep, that's why once you get into this, the only thing that depresses you is how slow other people wake up. That's it.
Damn.
You don't get depressed about nothing else. You might get angry about a few things, but it's not going to last long because you know anger is a fleeting emotion.
Right.
And you can't feed the anger till you do something that you're going to regret for the rest of your life. But sometimes you got to learn the hard lesson
Mm-hmm.
in order to for that aspect of the self to wake up and be like, look, it got to be a smarter way to do this. I can't be a damn fool and do this. I gotta make sense to me, and even if it don't make sense to nobody else. But if I don't know my likes and my dislikes and my pet peeves, I don't even know how to help me.
Mm.
So the knowledge of self is critical for you to walk your path. If you don't want to walk your path, then you can try to ignore who you is, but life gonna beat you into submission when you do that. Cause I tried it.
Mm. Shit.
I literally tried it.
Mm. Damn.
I heard my calling when I was 4, 5 years old and ran the other way. And every time I ran, I got knocked right back to the path.
Right. Damn. Shit. Hey, Rada, I missed I think I missed a super chat question. I seen y'all in the chat. Where's it at? Give me, because that was supposed to be the last question. Goddess of Fire. Hold up, Goddess of Fire. Hold up. Let me where is it at? Okay, here we go. Goddess of Fire. All right. My solar return was April 12th, same day of the pink moon. My period was extended a week. And that never happened before. Did the pink moon affect my cycle? Shout out to Goddess of Fire. Thank you for the super chat, sis. I almost missed your question.
All of the women's cycles is governed by the frequency of the moon. This
Mm-hmm.
is why they don't parthogenically reproduce anymore,
Mm-hmm.
because the Lilith moon is eclipsed by the lunar moon. The Lilith moon, what we call the dark phase of the moon, that's when the women can access the same higher consciousness that allows them to produce parthogenically.
Mm-hmm.
And the 28-day cycle is to make it where when that dark window come around, you off rhythm with the Lilith moon. And this is why they say that Eve replaced Lilith as the consort of Adam. This is what they're talking about. So it's
Mm.
definitely possible that the pink moon could have affected your cycle. But better than asking me, ask yourself, because you know yourself better than I know you. And the answer always comes back to you. And when it comes back to you, this is how you gonna know. It's gonna be like, oh yeah, that's what that was. An
Right.
aha moment. When you send yourself your mind to answer a question for you, it don't come back as um, you telling yourself read Psalms 37. No, don't do none of that. It come back to you as an aha moment,
Yeah.
right? And if your mind can't find the answer, but it know who got the answer, the person will haphazardly give you an off the cuff book reference, song reference, movie reference. And then when you read the book, listen to the song, or watch the movie, the answer will be sitting right there in your face. And you're like, dang, I was just asking myself about that the other day. Right. So you have to know how you answer yourself. This is another go back to the prior question of why do you need to know yourself? Because when the answers come in, you need to know that the answer from you, or if it's just a random thought somebody down the street had that flew into your field.
Mm.
If you don't know yourself, you can't answer yourself.
Hey
Right.
Rod, real quick, this is a hell of a show tonight, y'all. This is one of them ones. This is a hell of a show tonight, Rod. So let's say I'm in meditation and I have an aha moment, and then I happen to this happened to me. So this is why I'm asking you this. So I had one of the moments where I'm like, oh shit, wow, that's it right there. And then like 10 seconds after that, I think about my pops. My pops. So does that mean my pops gave me that aha moment? Because I've had aha moments.
Rich, you already answered your question, but you just wanted to verify for the people that you got an answer from your pops from the other side. You already knew the answer.
I'm gonna talk to you about it.
You already knew the answer. Every time so your father went through a particular life that he learned some stuff.
Yeah.
That's in your DNA.
Yeah.
When you ask yourself, one of the first places you looked is in your motherland and fatherland before you went for outside information.
Mm-hmm.
When the aha moment, you crack that codon on the DNA that got that information in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next thing that you want to know is, wait a minute, how did that get there? Dad, you know Pops put that there for you. Boy, I couldn't let you just overlook yourself. It's how it works.
How it works, yeah.
Right? And when the ancestors cross over, they even push more of who they are down on you, especially the wiser they are, the more they wisdom energy they want to push because they want you to maximize your potential. I was wicked with the hands. We used to be talking growing up on All I Love. The rumor around Pontiac was, do you think Rod Hayes could beat Mike Tyson? Mike was knocking him out.
You was ill with like that, Rod?
Wicked.
Rod, come on,
listen, man. When I got to Chicago to the county jail, dudes was telling me stories about this dude in Michigan with them hands. And they was telling me stories of fights I had. And I'm like, what? How the hell you know that? The legend of the street legends, right? Locally, I'm a street legend. Mm-hmm. Nationally, I ain't nobody. Mm-hmm. Right? But I brought that up for a reason. Mm-hmm. My job wasn't to be Mike Tyson. That was his job. Mm-hmm. Right? Or else I would have found my customato. Mm-hmm. I never found my customato. Mm-hmm. I learned how to train first I learned from one of my cousins, and then I took what he taught me and started studying everybody else with hands.
Right.
Right? So I still never got to play it out in the ring, but I got to play it out in the street. Right? I got to fight 10 niggas at one time and win. Right? I got me and my brother fighting 30, 40 dudes and win. Right? I got to do all that. It don't even matter now. Because I don't got no belt. I don't got no trophy wall or none of that. Now, I grew up, my uncle had a guy next door to him named Art Hall. Art Hall was a Golden Glove great. And I had a crush on his sister. This is how I find out. I'll go in there because I got a crush on his sister. I'm trying to sneak over there to see her. And I see all these boxing trophies. And I was like, who are all them trophies? She was like, that's my brother's. But you can't stay because my mom and them on their way home. So I'll run back over to my uncle's house, right? And I thought about that for a long time, right? Because also he was wicked with the hoops, right? But then neither one of them was his life mission. His life mission might be he might be a supervisor overseeing geeks in Silicon Valley, far as I know. But he had them hands, he had them hoop skills. I learned how to play basketball for real in prison. Right? Before that, I run the court, I could shoot the ball, but I didn't understand the psychology of the game. So I was never gonna be Michael Jordan. Right? My calling was different. My mom used to always tell me, and I used to get mad when I want to do something. That's not your calling. You got a whole different calling. And I get mad at her. And I tried my best to be real good at it. Man. So she could change her mind, but it didn't work.
It ain't work.
Right. So one day I was like, well, what's my calling? She said, you got to do the Lord's work. I'm like, who the hell is the Lord? And what land this nigga at? Yeah. Because I didn't understand the spiritual nature of the gifts that I had, why I would see things. You're going to be the prophet. I ain't no prophet. I might get some profits, get into
Yeah.
the bag.
Yeah.
She said, yeah, but that ain't gonna last long.
Mm.
So when I was in Chicago on the run from the police from Pontiac, I made a whole lot of money over the summer.
Mm.
Slanging. Didn't last.
Ain't
Just like
last.
Mama said, right? And so I get to the isolation place, and I don't want nothing to do with no spiritual stuff. I don't want to be bothered with no drug dealing stuff. And so the only thing I keep hearing, and these little FOI dudes running around, and I was cussing them out too, but they keep talking about the self-improvement program. And I was like, I already wrote my own self-improvement program. I don't need yours. I wrote my own for me. You can't tell me how to improve me. But the brother, beautiful brother named Ken X in Saginaw, all he do is smile and say, brother, you're going to be all right. And, but I had wrote a program for myself. I said, this is before I had been studying a few years, but this was like in the early days. I said, I have to figure out what I want to do when I go home.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I had already decided that I'm going to turn it into a monastery and a university. I already got that part in my head. Mm-hmm. Now I'm just reading random stuff. I'm like, there's no system, no order. So I say, okay, I'm reading these religious books. I'm reading this philosophy and history. And I'm telling you, I read the whole Saginaw Correctional Facility Library, nonfiction and law books. I'm talking about hundreds of books. And then I'm sitting there. So when I come up with the thing, I say, I'm just going to only study how to improve myself. So it took me to the self-help section, and I focused on Anthony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, Napoleon Hill, Dennis Kimbrough, and everybody there was talking how to help yourself. Stop looking for somebody else to help you, how to help yourself. Right. So I went on like a 2 year straight self-help research journey and got some of the best jewels of my life from there. Right. But to improve the self was the only thing I was trying to do. I didn't know that the side effect with that would make me fit to be able to teach people some of the stuff that I had learned. I didn't know it would make me a borderline philosopher. Right. And then I start studying the music, and like I had a lot of ambition when I came home, but everybody was so close-minded. I was shocked at how close these people man was. And my mama was telling me, roll your sleeves up. It's time for you to do the work. Do what work? You got to go help these people. F them people. Help them with what? I need some help. You don't need no help. You the one got to help them. Mama, I don't got nothing. I just got out of prison. Right? 5 years after I was out, I had like 6 cars, a house paid for. I was working at GM, making good money for the lifestyle I was living, and all of it had to go. She said, I don't know why you doing all that. That stuff, you gotta let that stuff go. Let it go. What I'm building for? She said, you're just practicing. My mama used to tick me off sometimes with that wise stuff. But now it's so clear. Right. In retrospect, they say hindsight 2020. Yeah. But now it's so clear. I know exactly what she was talking about. And I didn't even know the understanding of being a chief wasn't as clear as it became when I seen my mama go on the ground. I was devastated. But then all of her words just haunted me like a cold breeze on a warm night. They was just there. Right. So now I come out And I said, okay, well, what am I supposed to be doing? You're supposed to be telling them who cast this spell on us. There's 3 spells. It's Kingu, it's the Amen spell, and it's the George Washington Conjure, the death of Crispus Attucks blood oath. Okay? And there's major conjures open. I got to figure out whose descendants is going to close the Haitian Revolutionary Conjure, the New Orleans Revolutionary Conjure. That's the side effect that come from the people from the land and the old Mississippians and the Creoles in New Orleans working with the Haitians. They got to close these conjures out.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the conjures, the only way to break the spell is to tell the people the spell. And the most powerful one that was holding us the hardest was they used the blood of Crispus Attucks to write the secondary constitution that's on display at the George Washington Memorial with all of the phases of the ones who went into the conjure. And this is where racism works so effective, because all of the people, America always been the melting pot. Mm-hmm. People always came to the mainland America from around the world to upgrade their life by joining one of the tribes, because we was all prosperous before 1492. Mm-hmm. So while I'm looking at this, the cracking the Liberty Bell is another spell. The Liberty Bell was the moving of the sacerdotal seat, or the replacement of the sacerdotal seat with the White House, which was the seat of Columbia. Right, Columbia was another name for the goddess, but when you look in the ceiling and you see the 72 5-point stars, that's the reverse side of a sigil. The 72 sigils is the 72 spirits of the Goetia that was used to cast a spell. So by telling the people what the spell is, it in effect loses its grip on their psyche. Because once they go back and they look and then they see it, and now that spell does not work. And that had to be done because we needed to be freed from the condition we was in. The reason why nobody didn't want to associate with dark-skinned, woolly-haired people in America is because you had the old Mississippians was fighting this war against the Moors from Spain, the Huguenots from France, and the gentry from England, who was working together to conquer under the white man's burden. But the white man don't mean the same in Europe that it mean over here. Over there, the white man is the royal family. Over here, the white man is pale skin. That's not the same thing. But in the law over here, it mean the same as it mean in Europe, right?
Right.
And so all these conflicts created this mental stupor, and it made us rebellious to information, because anything that came close to breaking the spell, they told us it was evil. So we can't use voodoo to divinate and break the spell, because we done been Christianized and told voodoo is evil. Voodoo is the power. It's the power of the people. You can call it what you want. You call it evil, the devil doing. Devil just mean enemy, adversary, opponent, the one you up against. So if the devil don't want you to use it, he gonna villainize it. Mm-hmm. And all it is, what we call voodoo, is really what's called earth rights. The earth rights is the ability to be able to defend the planet from anything not from Earth, frequency-wise. Mm-hmm. And the Orisha is just one of the, you got the 7 sisters of the Pleiades, the 7 Orisha. You have the 7 seals of the 7 prophets. All of those are just codes to allow you to see beyond the veil. Once the veil begins to crack, you begin to see stuff, and then you begin to wake other people up. The babies got it now, so this ain't going to be able to last much longer, because the babies is going to push harder than Rod Hayes, because they not taking no for an answer. I just want the people to shut up and give us our shit back. The babies want blood, but they not fighting the war the way Our ancestors fought in 1812. They gave the devil an extension. They fighting a war with the facts, bringing the truth out to the forefront, bringing the references out, what we call cashing the receipt in the public, right? They following the oral tradition using social media as a time-stamped archivable format to let everybody know Rod Hayes ain't crazy. We from here, we been here, we gonna be here, and they ain't. They look like us, but they ain't us, and they ain't tricking us no more. And then all of the ones that's under contract, your college fraternities, they all trace back to Prince Hall. Prince Hall decided to get a charter because he's seen the sorcery being done as an apprentice to a Scottish Rite Freemason, and they wouldn't give him a charter. So he went to England and got a charter from the ones that couldn't tell him no because they knew who he was by blood. And he come back and he said, okay, now we can fight their war on their terms. We can educate ourselves above the condition. Everybody don't have to win, just one. If one person educate themselves above the condition, not go to school and get educated, because your PhDs and your BAs and your associates, none of that don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's your ability to be able to tell the people who did it. This is my GD literature, by the way. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. Right? And I didn't know why that was a standalone piece of literature until I started putting everything together. Because I read Viceroy literature, I read Peace Stone literature, and I started saying, wait a minute. We got parts of our GD literature that come from the Stones, but the Stones don't use that part of the literature, right? So when I start sifting through everything, putting everything together, I keep getting all of these, what the, I'm like Elmer Fudd, what the fuck is this? I mean,
and
it's blowing my mind, but it's making me see. Now I got to figure out how to tell it to the tribes. They turned us against each other by sending infiltrators in that looked like us. Mm-hmm. And now you see it playing out with Rolling 60s and people that they thought was a Rolling 60 the whole time. He's a police.
Right, man. Listen, I mean, what a show. We about to approach the 3-hour marks. Oh man, what a return to YouTube for Rod Hayes family. What a return to the Black Magic 363 family rise. Rod Hayes, before you get out of here, if there's one thing you tell the people, everything, the Pope just died, you see everything going on. If there's one thing, there's over 4,000 people you could tell the family before we get out of here, Rod, what would it be, Rod?
I'm back from my sabbatical. Some they say I'm radical, cold-hearted, and militant. You've been a little magical. Return from hiatus, back to be the greatest MC that you ever heard. The rest of them suckers faded.
Shit. you be driving some shit, Rod.
I'll be on one sometime, brother Rich.
I gotta get you. I gotta get you on the beat, man. I gotta get you. We gotta get in the studio.
I gotta get back in that vibe though, and like I've been trying my pen. My pen won't cooperate, meaning don't do no music right now.
Hey, man, we gonna talk, Rod. We definitely gonna talk. We gonna figure this thing out. Family, I want to thank you for everybody who's tuned in tonight, everybody who watched the whole show, everybody who watched half the show, everybody who watched a quarter of the show. Regardless, I want to thank you for tuning in, showing support. Before you leave the channel, make sure you hit the like button. That's important to let the algorithm know when Rod Hayes is on YouTube that people like watching Rod Hayes. So before you leave the show tonight, make sure you hit the like button. That's very important for the algorithm. Also, make sure the brother has a Cash App, $SIK8. That's spelled SIKAPE. He's on Cash App. You could show the brother support. But with that being said, man, I want to thank y'all. It's been a very fun show. I haven't done a show this long in a while. So I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Thank Rod Hayes for staying on. With that being said, Rod, I'm gonna talk to you soon, my brother.
I appreciate you, brother Rich. Keep doing what you're doing. And peace to the family out there watching.
All right. Peace, family. I'll be back Thursday night, family. I'm gonna take tomorrow off, but I'll be back Thursday night. Peace, everybody. Good night, family. Peace.